Hello and welcome back. And if this is your first time visiting, welcome. This is Galactic Arcade, and this series is called Broken to Open. In this series, we're going to talk about opening a retro arcade down in Branson, Missouri. Over the next year or so, I plan to relocate to Branson, Missouri and open a retro arcade, free play admission style. And I'm headed down to Branson this week. Gonna visit with the bank, gonna visit with the CPA, gonna start scoping out the area a little bit, looking at some commercial properties. We're gonna spend some time visiting competitors. I'm gonna make sure that I get you some footage of those arcades that we go into and visit. You know, I can't take you into the bank or the CPA with me, but I can share with you what I learn along the way. I'll get you some footage of Branson in this video and a little bit of the road trip down. So keep watching, and it should be a fun week and a fun video. Well, not pulling that trailer behind me sure does make a difference in the fuel economy. Wow. That's really good. I wasn't planning on it being that high. Even though I don't have the trailer, we're also going to do a rescue in this video. So stay tuned. I'm picking up something that's totally off the grid, guys. You're going to be... I'm excited. I think you guys are going to like this one. There's another great view. There's another really awesome view for you guys. Miles to my exit. Alright, so I'm coming into town the back way here. Let's just see, this is Shepherd of the Hills Expressway I'm coming in on. Now there's not a whole lot on this, but there's some to see. Now Branson has lots of hotels and resorts, motels, cabins. I have a membership to a RV camping club resort that I've had for, I don't know, a dozen years probably. So that's where I stay. They have a cabin rental program there, and that's what I usually do. Used to have a camper and would bring it down here, but don't have that anymore. Might get another one eventually someday, but it's you know, it's a lot of extra expense, the storage bills, the insurance, and then the maintenance on the camper. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking to scan to see if there's anything new. Seeing anything new. Oh, that's right, they've got the IMAX up here, and it's got a small arcade area in it. And I do mean small, but maybe we'll stop in there too. Till you see the strip, guys. There's so much to do here. See, the IMAX has the little Opry theater, and they got a show called I think it's Smoke on the Water. I don't know, I missed it there. But it's a good show. Oh, Sons of Britches. They got a show called Sons of Britches, and it's hilarious. Great show. Looks like we We got the Blue Angels playing at the IMAX. Check on my ducks. I don't see them. There's usually ducks in the water there. Oh, they're hiding under the tree over there. Well, guys, I'm going to get checked in here. And I'll be back. Well, here we are. This is 1984 Branson. It's a classic 80s arcade is what the sign says. Honestly, I'm not that impressed with their sign. It's pretty small, but it's not real flashy. I just don't see how it draws attention, you know, like a sign should. So this place, they've got a mix of video arcade, pinball, skee ball, air hockey, you know, all of the good stuff. It's a pretty good size arcade. It's $12 admission, and that includes video arcade only. Anything else like skee ball or pinball, it is an additional fee. It's a great arcade. I've been in it a few times now, quite a few times actually. But we're gonna go in, we're gonna see what it's like inside, maybe do a short video, and I'm gonna play some games and just kind of hang out and see what it's about. I'm curious, you know, what their visitor count is like on a Wednesday afternoon at 5:30. So, all right, let's head on in. Well, I spent a couple hours in there and it was quiet, guys. Concerningly quiet. You know, I want to open this arcade, but I don't want to make a mistake. I did take a chance or the opportunity to talk to one of the, I believe, 9 owners of the arcade. And, you know, I just casually asked, you know, how many people do you guys see a year? He was hesitant, but he did say, you know, maybe 20,000. 20,000 is over my break even according to the business plan that I have. It is below my pessimistic mark by a significant number. My pessimistic mark is 25,000. Break even is 18,000. My base case, which is what I assume to be most likely, is 30,000. You know, they are off the beaten path. So, you know, I think location, guys. I really do. I don't know, I might need to rethink the 30,000 down to about 25 for base, and maybe 20 for pessimistic scenario. They had about 10 games I counted that were broken, or maybe 12. They did have right at about 100 video arcade. I didn't count the pinball. The video arcade took up about 3,500 square foot, if I did my math right, counting their ceiling tiles. That's not including their pinball, which is like a whole nother 3,500 feet. But most of that site is empty other than the pinball and the admission desk. They only had one skee ball machine. I feel like minimum you got to have 2. 3 is optimal. And if I'm going to include the play for skee ball in the admission, I think at least 2, because it's going to get more action. So, yeah, I had a good time, though. Got to play some video games, and they had some games that I hadn't seen before. They had a lot of Nintendo. I don't have much Nintendo. I did realize that, or see that, you know what, I've got a lot of games that they don't have, and they've got a lot of games I don't have. So that's interesting how that'll mix out. But anyways, I think it's on to the next place. Well, guys, looking back at the videos from yesterday and trying to start editing them together, I realized I did not hit the record button like I thought I did when touring 1984. So I'm sorry I don't have clips of that. I also hit the small arcade at IMAX. And I don't know what I did there, but it didn't turn out either. I tried to find the Blitz Bar Arcade, and it was nowhere to be seen. So I don't know if it's just not around or what. I promise I'll get some video footage of some arcades for you, though. And, you know, I've got today and tomorrow. Today we're focusing on the bank and the accountant, though. So maybe tonight we can hit an arcade somewhere. 1984, you know, they did have about 100 games. About a dozen were out of service. It's just basically, you know, it's a dark room. They've got a couple of TV setups from, like, you know, CRT, like 1990 style living room setups, with VHS tapes playing movies. They've got a really cool giant boom box. It's pretty neat, actually. Had video of music videos on it, playing 80s music. The floor was just sealed concrete with some paint splattered on it. Very little of it was even reflective. They had one skee ball machine. They had 2 air hockey tables. They had a couple of claw machines. One was broke. That was it for their redemption. Their gift shop is just basically their stuff, and then they had like magnets and like lapel pins, or, you know, you put them on your jean jacket or whatever. And then they had, 1984 t-shirts. They had a lot of those. So yeah, it was an interesting deal. No food really. I mean, they had like prepackaged candies, you know, that sort of thing. And they had soda, and that was it. And the candy wasn't even out on display or anything like that. Then the place at the IMAX, it was kind of cool. It had a handful of games, probably, you know, 2,000 square feet, 1,500 maybe. A lot of redemption stuff. It's all modern though. No retro stuff. They did have this really cool looking giant Space Invader things, and it had these guns on it and this huge screen. It was really cool. But that was the closest thing to anything retro in there. They had a Guitar Hero that was pretty cool. But I might get back into IMAX, but I probably won't get back to 1984 again on this trip. Yeah. So like I said, today we're focused on the bank and the CPA. Right now I'm headed to get some breakfast, and I've got my paperwork with me. I'm going to do some studying before I go. Make sure that, you know, I have all my questions written down ahead of time. So, all right, I'll see you shortly. Well, I just left with meeting the accountant, and I'd say it went well. Based off of what he said, I'd say my predictions in my business plan are pretty much spot on for cost. His advice was to go ahead and get the LLC formed this year. or the entity, however I'm going to form it, whether it be LLC or S Corp, done this year. And he's thinking probably S Corp. The difference being tax filing, I would only pay Social Security income tax on my payroll that I pay myself, and profit for the arcade then passes through as dividend. So it's not taxed with Social Security income tax, which would be nice. Makes a big difference. I just have to make sure that it's a reasonable amount I'm paying myself. So I guess I've got to give that some thought, and probably get that started. Yeah, it went well. Basically, I want my accountant to do pretty much everything so that I can be focused on the arcade, repairing machines, taking care of customers, keeping the place clean and happy and marketed, and not spend my time in the back office trying to work over books. And yeah, it sounds like he's going to be able to do everything that I was hoping. So that's great. Next meeting is with the bank for the first time. A little nervous about that one. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not committing to anything today. It's, it's more just asking questions and getting ready than anything. But still, I want to make a good impression. When it comes down to it, though, it's not about the impression I make. It's about whether or not the business is going to be viable, the loan can be repaid, and if I have the credit to be trusted with. That part I'm confident in. Really, I'm confident in the business as well, the business plan. But, I got to be cautious. Like I've said before, I've got a lot on the line here, so we're going to see. I'll let you guys know what the bank has to say. Okay, guys, I swung through Best Buy and picked up this new microphone. They didn't have a wireless one for me, but I got one, so hopefully that helps with things, makes the videos a little bit better. I don't make any money off of YouTube. So I have to manage the cost for the channel, and then managing the cost for the arcades. So I try to do things as affordably as I can. But I thought, you guys deserve better. So I figured I could spend a few dollars on microphone. Anyways, so I'm cruising around now. This is away from the tourist area, but it's a busy little center. There's a Walmart across the street. There's a Target. I see Cricket up there. There's a Ross Dress. All kinds of different little restaurants. There's a Kohl's and a Petco here. And so, there's a huge space for rent there. I certainly don't need anything that big. But this place has a few different spots. I just don't know if this would be a good location or not, because it is away from the tourist area. I need to hit at minimum 25,000 customers a year. And I don't know if I can do that without that heavy tourist draw. But it might be something to consider. Couple of spaces there, and then we got Shoe Carnival, we got a Five Below, we got a Michael's up here, we got an Ulta coming up. Oh, let the pretty girl cross. Hello, pretty girl. Skinny pretty girl. And then there's one more place up here. Looks empty, yep. Some might be something I can Google and look at, see what the lease rates run. I mean, if the lease is low enough, then I can reduce the amount of visitors that I need. You know, remember my visitor count is based off of leases on the strip where we know rent is high. So, and also after talking to the bookkeeper, I found out what to expect for rental rates on the landing, and that is absolutely 100% out of the question. No way. So at least we've eliminated that as a possibility, but we'll see if we can still get down there. I've got another day and a half left here. So all right, I'm going to take a short break, and then it's time to head to the bank. Well, okay, so a little background on the bank that I went to. They're a local bank. They're a small bank. They're local. They have about 5 locations. Their biggest concern, obviously, was risk and whether that can be mitigated. Since it's a startup, there's no background history on the business, and that's a concern for them. Also, since it involves me relocating and selling my home, there is a lack of collateral, even though I am contributing, about 70 machines, probably, and all my equipment and supplies, tools, to the business, which is currently valued at about $90,000, guys. They're concerned about that, whether or not it's going to be enough to be equal the collateral needed to secure the loan. The way they do loans in their bank is they have a group or a committee that meets, and they decide if the loan is something they want to take a risk on before they even submit it to the SBA. So not only do I need to convince the 2 that I met with today, I've got to convince 5 other people that this is a good thing, and that it's got a chance of being viable. They suggested that rather than applying for the loan and then moving and then opening the arcade, that I should probably sell my home and move first and take a job down here, so that I can have secondary income when I apply for the loan, and something to show the ability to pay my personal bills without relying on the business and an owner draw. And I assume that would be the case. It's not ideal, though, for me at least. It's something I'm going to have to consider. I could easily find work down here. That's not an issue. The issue is finding work equivalent to what I'm doing now as far as pay is concerned. That is going to be an issue. I'm not looking to rely on it for income, but it's hard to take a position or a job making a significant amount less than what I'm making now at a job. So I don't know. I'm going to have to give that some thought and think this through. I don't plan on the arcade paying me for the first 4 to 6 months anyways, but maybe they said I should plan on probably losing money for the first year, And I'm trying to time it and work it out so that that doesn't happen. That's not the case, but I know it's a realistic possibility that it could be. So the secondary income may not be that bad of a deal. I don't know, guys. I'm going to have to give this one some thought, and I'm probably going to be talking to another bank. I don't have arrangements made to meet with one, but I'm probably going to, just to be safe. So that's kind of where we're at with it. It wasn't bad, I think they were just trying to explain their concern. I don't feel like they really went through the financial proposal that I gave them. I mean, I gave them a full workbook. I mean, we're talking 40 pages, guys, of financial information, projections, details on, how the business will be run, what its core model will be. And I don't feel like they actually really reviewed the plan too well prior to the meeting, which kind of bothered me. I put a lot of work into this business plan. I've been developing it for nearly a year, guys. I have hours and hours into this thing. So to have this meeting set up 2 weeks ago and them have that plan for the last, 10 days and not have reviewed it closer kind of is an issue. I don't know. But we've met with the bank. We've gotten our information. We've got a lot of things answered. One concern I had also is that, I'm going to need to buy some more equipment. I've got, probably, I'm planning on another $50,000 or so of equipment that I need to purchase. And, this stuff you can't just order a smash TV cabinet. You can't, they don't make them. They haven't made them for 40 years. I can't just go online or pick up the phone and order me one. I have to find it. And I do that through private sellers on Craigslist, Marketplace, OfferUp, so on and so forth, or at auction. And what they are proposing is that I would have to arrange the deal with the seller and then submit that information to the bank, and then the bank would then pay the seller. And I'm just thinking, if that's me on Facebook and you tell me all of this, I'm going to red flag you for scamming. None of it sounds right, from that perspective. And so that would be an issue. Now, they did say, we can kind of cover that bridge when we get there, but it's kind of a big bridge to get covered. And so my thought, well, what if I were to pay for it out of my working capital, and then you could just reimburse me and I could put that back into my working capital? He said, well, that might be a possibility, but we're going to have to cover it when we get to it. I don't know. So, anyways, we've got some time off now, and let's go have some fun. I'm going to go hit an arcade.
just gonna go out in the hallway and throw up about something else.
Well, that was the Bigfoot Fun Park arcade. Modern arcade. They had music playing in the background, so I'm going to have to remove the sound on that video. Modern arcade. $25 card. That was the smallest amount I could buy. If you pay with a credit card or a debit card, they're going to charge you an extra 4%. That is such a scam. I can't stand places that do that. It was fun though. I mean, don't get me wrong. Played some Space Invaders. That was really pretty cool. The Galaga, if you look in the video, there's a Galaga in there, a modern Galaga that was pretty neat too. I played that quite a few times. Played some John Wick pinball. Played the Monopoly. I played, I don't know. I played like $10 or more on the coin pusher. Played some skee ball. I had like 700 tickets. I gave them to one of the girls working the counter. Told her to just give them to the next little kid that came up. I don't know, kind of cool, but not really a competitor direct, but still a competitor. It's a very different arcade. The atmosphere was bright. I don't like that in an arcade. You know, I've been here once before. It's not what I remembered at all. But maybe they changed and maybe I remember wrong. I don't know. But I'm gonna move on to another arcade. Alright guys, I'm at Grand Country Fun Spot. Now we've got pizza, we've got blacklight 3D, mini golf, they got mini bowling, laser tag, go-karts indoors, they've got indoor mini golf, they've got live entertainment, there's shows. And check this out. This is a cello or a violin neck or a fiddle. It sticks out the building, and then if you look, when you go inside, you can see the shadow there. They have the rest of it inside the building. It's pretty cool. Now, I've never been in the arcade here. But I know that they've got random arcade machines spread throughout this building. Grand Country rents rooms too. They're kind of like a resort deal. Great family packages if you're coming down. You can get a room with pizza and tickets to like shows, Silver Dollar Cities, all in a combo deal. They've got nice pool. It's kind of like a water park kind of pool setup. It's pretty cool. But yeah, just Google Grand Country, Branson, Missouri, and you can find all that information. All right, I'm going to head in and see if I can find their arcade. Well, that was just another modern arcade. Nothing special. So they're on the card system, just like Bigfoot was. But here you choose how much you want to put on that card, and the games range $1 to $3. I did a little bit of the Highway 66 bowling. They had another bowling game. I played that a couple times. I played a stupid ticket game. I don't remember what it was. Their pinball, the card reader wasn't working, so I couldn't play the pinball machine. They had a Star Trek, I think it was, in there. I only did a $10 card. It was $10 plus tax, and again, you know, I gave my tickets to a little kid in there so they could have some fun with it. Not really, even though they're in the same space, not really a competitor, but they are. You know, I mean, any place with games that's drawing people in to play is keeping them from coming into my place to play. So, you know, I got to make sure I do things that are going to differentiate and set me apart. Atmosphere in that one wasn't as bad. It wasn't real bright like Bigfoot was. They had the cool carpet, and you know, I didn't really notice any neon or anything like that. They had a neat little prize selection. It wasn't a bad little arcade, but like I said, it's just another modern arcade. I'm gonna see if I can find another one to hit while we're here, though. I think I can find one more. So let's take a look. Okay, guys, we're gonna check this place out. Here's what I parked next to. That's pretty cool. And in the parking lot, we've got the city morgue. Looks like they might have a bar in here. Footloose. This is called Retromania. Weird Science Gremlins. This is kind of my place. If you're watching this channel, I think this is what you guys are into as well. Revenge of the Nerds. We got mini golf, arcade, haunted house, movie museum, and escape games, and a cafe. So I'm gonna head in and check out the arcade. All right, guys. So Retromania was $22, I think, after tax. But if you visit Branson and you want to visit Retromania, there's a place called the Purple Building, and they have real 2-for-1 tickets. Every other place that advertises discount tickets is a scam. Just Google Branson Purple Building, and you can get a deal on their tickets. It's a cool place. A lot of well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's some bootleg ROMs in there. They've got some multicades. Whatever, you know, I don't care, but it is what it is. A lot of their games have been updated with LCDs, I noticed. Some of them didn't work correctly, like the Lethal Enforcers. One gun was missing, and the one gun that was there, the game needs calibrated badly, or the monitor needs to be adjusted, because it wasn't recognizing any of the shots. And if I remember right, the last time I was here, which has been a few years now, at least 2, it was the same way. Went into the little cafe, got an order of mushrooms and 2 drinks, Maker's Mark and Coke, and my bill was $34. So yeah, keep that in mind when visiting Branson. Food is expensive here. My breakfast buffet at Shoney's this morning, I think, was almost $20 with coffee. So yeah, keep that in mind. Food's expensive. I always pack some food, you know, make sandwiches or whatever at the cabin, bring some salads or whatever. But I was hungry and I was going to have a drink, so I needed something in my belly. All in all, I would say they're a mixed attraction, not an arcade. Again, not really directly competitive with what I want to do. But you know, if somebody's coming here to play arcade games instead of my place, they are a competitor. So yeah, it's kind of my take on it. It's starting to get late. I'm gonna head back to the cabin, and I think on the way, what I'll do is I'll try and record a little footage of the strip here. So hang tight. Okay, so just starting to move around this morning. We're gonna go get some breakfast at a place called Paul's Breakfast House. It's an 80s theme retro diner. I thought it would fit in with our visit to Branson this week. This seems like a good time to talk about likes and subscribes and comments. Guys, interact with the video. I'd really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know, I'd like to grow this channel, spread the reach, get the word out, you know, about Galactic Arcade coming to Branson. And I could really use your guys' help to do that. You know, as it stands, you know, I've got some decisions to make after this visit, but as it stands, I'm still planning on this. You know, moving down in about a year, and then getting started right away on it and opening the arcade very early 2028. Maybe sooner, I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out, but yeah, I'm pretty content with that plan. So we're gonna see how things go. I don't really have a plan for today, but tomorrow we're leaving Branson and we're gonna go rescue an arcade machine. So keep watching, guys, and I'll be back and I'm gonna let you see the diner and let you know how it is. It's definitely bright colored. This used to be a steakhouse, and it was a busy steakhouse, and then they closed and it sat empty for a long time. So we're gonna go in and see what's going on here. Well, I was excited going in. It was less than expected. Lots of 70s music, and I'm talking very early 70s music playing. The uniforms were not 80s. They were very modern. The breakfast was $20, guys. I had one biscuit, 2 eggs, 1 piece of sausage, and hash browns, and a cup of coffee for $20. I would have been better off going back to Shoney's for the buffet. The biscuit was crunchy. I don't know who told them biscuits should be crunchy, but I think biscuits are supposed to be light, soft, fluffy, airy, things like that. Honestly, the decor was cool. The service was rushed. She was friendly, but she didn't interact. She wasn't excited. I mean, it was just adequate, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. And then, yeah, it was very much a rush deal. Get you in, get you out. And they weren't even that busy. There were a lot of empty seats. There was nobody waiting. There was no reason to rush. Yeah, I would say it's probably not worth the stop if you're in Branson, guys. And that's unfortunate. I really was looking forward to this. All right, time to move on with the day. So I had to stop at Ozark Land to pick up a souvenir for somebody that's doing me a favor while I'm gone. Kind of watching the house and taking care of the cat. And I got her some jam. This isn't it. But look at this, guys. When's the last time you saw a pack of candy cigarettes? Boy, if that don't take you back. $1.25 for those. Boy, real cigarettes aren't that cheap anymore, I can tell you that. I can't remember what we paid. We probably paid like 25 cents for these things, you know. But boy, don't that take you back. Nothing but sugar, beef, beef gelatin. Let's see. 45 calories in one cigarette. Oh wait. One box of cigarettes is only 45 calories. One box of candy cigarettes is only 45 calories. That's not bad. Well, I told you guys it was expensive to eat here. Okay. This medium iced coffee and a half a dozen donuts, $19, like $18.75. I think the current business plan I have calls for 20% of our visitors will spend about $7 on concessions. I'm going to have to increase that. And I can still be cheap comparatively speaking. I figured my food cost at like 25%, I think I was 27% food cost with those calculations. So it's definitely gonna need some adjustment. That's great for the business. I can't charge $10 for a hot dog though, and sleep at night. I don't know how these people are doing it. So I'm checking out this place called the Tangiers Outlet. It's like an outlet mall, but I'm looking at possible locations. And I come across this. You don't see too many Toys R Us anymore. Very cool. Well, I've recorded this clip 2 or 3 times now. I'm glad I didn't spend a whole lot on this mic, because it does not work well, at least today it's not. Thought it worked pretty good in earlier videos. Well, our time at Branson is come and gone. We got some information, we're mulling it over. And now we're off to our rescue mission. Now this rescue mission, it's about 4.5, almost 5-hour drive from Branson. But it's kind of on the way home, but it is off the beaten path. It does add, I don't know, a couple hours to my total drive time. Oh boy, too early to be doing that. I just need to get my coffee. Anyways, I think it'll be worth it. I'm really excited. And so, wait till you see what we're getting today. Okay, so, reflecting on my conversation with the bank, here's the deal. So I'm looking at an SBA 7A loan. Now the SBA, they guarantee the bank 75% of the loan. So in the event I should default, the bank is only on the hook for 25% of the original loan value. After my cash injection, guys, I am looking at borrowing about $300,000. Now that includes tenant improvements, things like plumbing, electrical, carpeting. It also includes 5 months of cash reserves to get me through the time period of tenant improvements, and a couple of months worth of cash to offset slow seasons and slow start, or the equivalent of a couple of months cash, so that I can pay the bills during a slow startup, or I can use it to get through my first winter there. And then it also includes purchasing equipment. There's about $75,000 earmarked for purchasing some games, things I don't have that I want, like skee ball, for example, and also inventory for the gift shop, and the counters and furniture and fixtures and other equipment, commonly referred to as FFE, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Okay, and then, like I said, inventory for the gift shop. So, and then you have the games that I'm contributing as well, and all of that can be used as collateral for the loan. Okay, the games I'm contributing, and then the things that I'm buying out of the loan are also considered collateral on the loan. The bank wants more collateral. Okay, after my cash injection, the loan is just shy of $300,000. SBA covers 75% guaranteed, so the bank is only on the hook for $75,000. I have $175,000 worth of FFE and inventory. I don't understand why they want more collateral. There's more than enough there, even at 50 cents on the dollar, for them to recoup any loss that they may incur should I default. Okay, so that bothered me. Now the bank had my business plan for probably about 10 days, week and a half, maybe even closer to 2 weeks, and they did not review it. They did not review the plan at all. There were 2 people involved. The first person I had contact with, and then she wanted a second person to sit in on the meeting who's more familiar with business loans. And the second person hadn't even reviewed the question list I submitted with it. I was really bothered by that. This is a serious deal for me. I'm not just going all in, without knowing what the heck I'm doing, and so getting those questions answered was important. The fact they didn't even review the loan or the business plan tells me they don't even understand what I'm looking for in the loan, and yet they're telling me that I need more capital to secure the loan, more liquidity, or more collateral. Another thing that bothered me, they suggested that instead of going with the plan I have of selling the house and leaving my job and moving to Branson after I get conditional approval of the loan, instead of doing it that way, they suggested that I quit my job and sell my house, move to Branson, then get a job there, and then apply for the loan. And here's the deal. I have a good job. I make really good money. If I were to do it that way, I would probably take at least a 50%, if not closer to a 70% cut in pay. I would not be able to find a job doing what I do now in that area. They just don't exist. So I'd have to do something else, and it just would not pay as well. Even if I could find it, it still would not pay as well in that area. Because like I mentioned earlier, the cost of living is lower there, so the jobs pay less. I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm not comfortable with that at all. That concerns me. So that's kind of where I'm at with the bank deal. I wanted to work with a local bank. I think it's a lot better for me and the community doing that, because then the money stays in the community. And you know, I'm just a firm believer that, you know, any revenue that can remain in the community is better for the community. It's better for me. It's better for my employees. It's better for my neighbors. It's, you know, so I really wanted to just stay local. Now, that being said, there are lots of banks. Lots of banks. I can apply. There's banks that process hundreds and hundreds of SBA loans every year, totaling billions of dollars. And I can go with one of them, and I may have to. It just was not what I wanted to do. I don't know. You guys could tell me what you think in the comments. You know, quit my job and sell my house, move to Branson, rent a small apartment, and take a job paying less. And then what's going to happen when I apply for that loan and now I have a significantly smaller income? Are they going to laugh at me and say, you know what, you don't make anywhere near enough money for us to approve this? I don't know. I don't know. That's a major concern. You know, if it would be different if I knew that the loan were guaranteed to be processed, but yeah, without a contingency, I just don't think I can do it that way. I have no problem going down there and getting a job to offset living expenses, but had they read the plan, they would understand that the plan is for me to have 4 to 6 months worth of personal expenses in my personal account so that I don't have to draw off the business. But since they didn't read the plan, they don't see that. And I explained it, but I guess that didn't get anywhere with them, because they were still pretty persistent on me doing that. But yeah, so that's kind of a recap with the bank. Insurance, I tried getting a quote on insurance so I can make sure that the number in the business plan is accurate. I've reached out to 2 different companies. One never responded. Another one responded, and I gave them the information they requested. She emailed me back. 2 different carriers that they use have already denied me. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't see this as high risk for the insurance company. I mean, there's no alcohol. I'm not, there's no. It's not like I've got amusement rides. I don't get it. It's a small family entertainment center business with an arcade, or as an arcade. It's just, I don't get it. But she said she was going to submit it to a third, and we'll see what happens there. I did email back and request information as to why, but who knows what I'll be given. I reached out to 3 different commercial brokers. One responded that they sell commercial property, but they don't really deal with leasing, even though on their website they have leased property on it. I didn't get that. And then another one said he wasn't available to meet this week, but I would like to use him. The bank suggested he was a good, or recommended him as a good person to look at. And then there's another one that just didn't respond. They didn't return my email or my voicemail when I called. I thought about just going and knocking on their door and saying, hey, let's talk, but I just didn't get a chance to do that this trip. So that's kind of how that all folds out. And then the bookkeeper or accountant that I spoke to, I really liked him. His pricing was right in line with what I had in the business plan, maybe just a little bit higher, but not out of line. He seems to be knowledgeable, and I think I can trust him. You know, that's a big deal when you're talking your books. You need somebody that's going to make sure those tax payments are taken care of and that sort of thing. Because here's the deal, you hire the wrong person, and instead of forwarding your tax payments, they decide to pocket them and then split town. Guess what? You're still on the hook. And, you know, it's more than just, you know, your income tax. You know, there's sales tax, there's tax for your employees. That can add up real fast, you know, and yeah, they can forward that or choose to not forward that, pocket it, and then leave town, and you still owe that money. The government doesn't care if somebody else was responsible for taking it. You're still responsible for paying it. So, you know, you got to have somebody you can trust when it comes to that, and he seems trustworthy. He said his parents actually started that business back in the 80s, and he's just maintained it. You know, he took over when they retired. He's my age, our age, I guess. You know, so he's been doing this for a while, and he did mention some of his other accounts that he's got, and there's some big names around Branson that he mentioned. So, you know, I mean, he's reputable, he's got some references, and yeah, so I'm good with the bookkeeper that I spoke to. We just need to figure out the bank and then the broker situation. And honestly, I don't have to have a broker, guys. I can find these listings online. I can go down there, I can see for lease signs in the windows and make phone calls. But it would be nice to have somebody down there that can go look at a place, get me more pictures than what's online, get measurements for me, and also help me negotiate the lease on my behalf, not the landlord's behalf. You know, it's nice to have somebody that does that on a regular basis. They've got a better understanding of what is a reasonable request and what landlords are willing to bend and where. So, yeah, I think that would be a good idea to have somebody like that. It's just not necessary. You know, I'm still, even with somebody like that, I'm still going to run that lease through a landlord or through a lawyer and have it reviewed. So, yeah. I don't know, just, you know, I think it'd be better off to have somebody down there for me or on my behalf. But, yeah, the deal with the bank, though, that kind of bothered me. I left there a little discouraged that, you know, they hadn't even reviewed the plan. And, you know, and with what they had to say, but I think had they reviewed the plan and they had a better understanding of where I'm at and what I'm putting in, they may have looked at it differently. So I'm going to write a polite and yet professional email, and I'm going to call them out on that. You know, because I still need to bank somewhere locally. Even if I don't have my loan through them, I need to bank somewhere. So I'd like to have a good relationship with them, but at the same time, I just don't feel it's right, and I want to call it out and see what happens. And who knows? Maybe then they'll review the plan and pass it upstream and get some different eyes on it. And they may reach out and say, you know what, you're right. And they may reach out and say, yep, sorry. After reviewing, we don't want anything to do with you. But, you know, you don't know if you don't ask or say. But anyways, got about 3 hours of drive left and I'll be at home. And we'll get this machine unloaded and let you guys take a peek. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm really hoping that it's not anything major in repair and I can get it running right away. And if not, well, I'll get it running anyways. Just take a little longer. I gotta stop and get some coffee here shortly. I'm gonna push. No nap. No nap. I want to get home. Anyways, you know, been a long few days. But we'll be there shortly. Just sit tight. Okay, so first, if you've watched the video this long, thank you. I know this is a longer one. I'm going to try and trim it down and edit, so we'll see how long it actually turns out to be. But you deserve a reward, so let's unveil this. See if I can set the camera up here for you. That's right. It's Tron, baby. Check it out. Check it out. Okay, so I got a backstory on this one, guys. It's all original. The story is it served in a bowling alley in a small town before being donated to a local church where it just sat in storage for all these years. Somebody got it from the church or the person I got it from the church a couple years back, and he had it playing, and like I told you earlier, he just kind of got tired of it, and then when he turned it back on recently, it didn't work, and he didn't really know how to repair it. So, yeah, it's a beauty, guys. It's all original. Oh man, that spinner feels great. Get the original flight stick. Let's see how long that lasts in a commercial arcade. In fact, I might just remove it and put on a reproduction before it goes out commercially. Yeah. Oh wow. Now I don't have the boards in it right now. I pulled them for shipping. And I need to go through it before lighting it up. But we'll get to it real soon, guys. So make sure you like and subscribe and ring the bell so that you can be notified when we start going through this one. Again, Thanks for watching, and have a great night.